This Sprinter van was completely smashed, but it's now being brought back to life. Because of the bodywork though, there's a big glue seam where there didn't used to be from the factory, and that's causing our subfloor kit to not sit flat and stable like it should. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how we modify the foam on our insulated subfloor kits so that if you run into an issue like this on your DIY build, you can tackle it and handle it just like the pros. I'm Ben Price with Vamonos Vans. Let's go. So this is my friend Scott's van, and he's the owner of Sprinter Pit Stop, which is San Diego's premier shop for all of your Sprinter service, repair, bodywork, suspension, lights, and exterior upgrade needs. And to demonstrate how capable they really are, Scott got this damaged Sprinter 2500 4x4, and him and his team are repairing it from the ground up. And so much work has already gone into this van, and we are just at the beginning. We'll get into the backstory on the van and the repair in another video, but in short, Scott's team has already replaced pretty much the entire driver's side body, taking care of wheels, tires, and suspension. They added a front bumper and flares, and are getting prepped to add the Super Pacific Cloud Cap rooftop tent. So with all of the exterior repairs and mods wrapping up, Sprinter Pit Stop is partnering with Vamonos Vans to give this rig the interior build out that it deserves. And we are going to be vlogging the entire build, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications so that you don't miss any of those videos. And with that being said, let's just get into it. Today, we're starting where every good van build starts, the subfloor. And if you're new here, this is our pre-insulated subfloor kit. We CNC cut foam insulation and Baltic birch to match the shape and ribs of factory floors on all of the popular van models. And that's all in an effort to make it fast and easy for you, the DIY van builder, to get a professional result at home. But like we said at the beginning of the video, Scott's van has this glue seam on the inside from where they sealed the original body to the repaired body. And now we have to modify our subfloor kit to make room for that seam so the floor sits nice and flat and stable like it's supposed to. So I'm going to show you 5 different tools that we use here at the shop when we need to modify the foam insulation. And my favorite one, which is the fastest and the easiest, I'm going to show you last. So make sure you stick around and watch it all the way through so you don't miss it. Okay, so the first tool is something that I'm pretty sure everyone has. Some form of utility knife, razor blade, box cutter, whatever you want to call it. This is definitely not the fastest or easiest method, but it is something that is relatively free. And if you've got time and you don't mind spending a little bit of effort, this tool works just fine. To demonstrate, I'm going to show you just this little corner. Now we're doing this on a corner because utility knives obviously don't have a big long blade, so the reach is going to be tricky. And then getting into certain angles, like if I wanted to say slice right here, this blade's not going to do a beautiful job. But if we're here on the end and I just need to take a little bit off, you can see that was still pretty easy. Definitely took some manual effort, and it's not the cleanest cut, but the job is done. And after all, this foam is going to be face down on the floor. We're never going to see this again. So really all that's important is that it fits and that we still have a lot of material left for thermal properties. Okay, and my second favorite type of tool is any kind of reciprocating saw. When we talk about a reciprocating saw, we're talking about something where the blade just goes back and forth. This happens to be an air saw, and this is gonna work very similarly to the razor blade, but obviously with less effort because the tool is doing the cutting motion for us rather than us having to do that. But we're gonna run into the same kind of issues where we have a less than ideal angle of attack. So for this section right here, obviously I'm trying to clear all of this out and bring it to the same level as this. I'm not going to be able to get a nice clean flat cut under here. I would always be at some kind of an angle. So for horizontal cuts, not the best tool. But if we needed to get some kind of complex geometry, some curves, or maybe some waves or something like that going around a wheel well, these are fantastic. And obviously this is going to work on foam and wood as well, but in this video we're just talking about foam. So for this particular cut right here, I'd probably only use this air saw just to score my line straight down the side. So let's demonstrate what that looks like. Okay, so now I've got a nice clean line with the foam separated where I want to cut it. I can just show you right here at the end, you know, this blade is a little longer than the razor blade, so I could kind of come in here on the end and get a little slice right there. So you can see we can get horizontal cuts, but it's gonna be limited to working on the edges and the depth of our blade. That's not gonna work here. So let's move on to a tool that's gonna help us take the rest of this down. Okay, next up are gonna be these tools, and these are called Sureforms. You can see I've got two different sizes right here. There are more, these are just the two most common that you can pick up at most hardware stores. The idea here is we have relatively soft material and we need to take off a lot of it quickly. Both of these tools are gonna let us do that, and we're essentially just gonna grab onto the handles and we're just gonna push this along where we wanna take material off. So now this is a great tool for what we're trying to do here because we can attack this from the top, keep a nice flat plane. We've already scored the side, so we're just gonna use our Sureform here to take off all that material. Now this is not gonna be the fastest tool, but for what we're trying to do here, it is a relatively accurate tool. So let's go ahead and see how this works. Okay, so you can see it made relatively quick work of that section. Again, doesn't leave the prettiest result, but pretty isn't what we're after. We're after function here. We just wanna make sure that this subfloor fits and keeps our floor insulated. So I think this is perfectly acceptable. Now, the only downside to one of these tools is that it's not something that most of you are gonna have already. So something that you're gonna have to go out and pick up, whether you're buying from Amazon, link down in the description, or if you wanna go to a hardware store close by. Usually these are relatively inexpensive and easy to get, but most people aren't gonna have another use for these after working on this project. So this isn't the first tool that I would recommend DIYers go get. I would actually, for most DIYers, recommend the next tool. So let's go on to that. My fourth favorite tool for shaping foam, sandpaper. This is pretty much free, and I'm gonna almost guarantee that everyone watching this video has some of this lying around. Now, of course, these are discs left over from a random orbital. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap these around some blocks to give me the shape that I want. I've actually got some used sandpaper here. We've got an 80 grit and a 40 grit. Obviously 40 is gonna take off more material. This is gonna be more for a finer finish. We're gonna go ahead and get rid of that because we wanna get this done as fast as possible. Okay, so I've just got a scrap block of 1/2 inch material here. I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap my sandpaper around. It's not the tightest corner here, but again, we're just looking for close enough. Okay, so if we're looking at these two sections, we can see this is where I was using that Sureform, kind of tore up the foam a little bit. And then over here, this is where I was using the 40 grit sandpaper. Now, the Sureform was a little bit faster than the sandpaper, but arguably we have a better result, and this is gonna be free. Whereas for the Sureform, you're gonna have to go out, buy a new tool, and who knows if you're gonna use that again. So that's why I actually like sandpaper better for DIYers. Now, my favorite tool for modifying the foam here is going to be something that a lot of you either have at home already or something that you've been looking for an excuse to go pick up, and that is going to be a multi-tool. I've got a DeWalt here. Really doesn't matter what brand you get, they're pretty much universal. The big benefit here is just that these can get into a lot of spaces that some of the other tools that I was showing you can't. You're gonna be able to get a lot better angles, a lot more angles with a tool like this, and because it is powered, of course, it's gonna go faster and require less effort than the manual options like the sanding paper and the Sureforms. So instead of talking, let me just show you how I use this thing. Okay, so the multi-tool is actually perfect for the type of cutting that we're trying to do here. Now, of course, I've already scored my line here earlier with the air saw, but I could do the same thing with this tool, kind of just coming along here, scoring that nice. But where I think this tool really shines is being able to use the bottom flat edge of the tool here and putting that flat on our foam surface here and kind of tilting this, and while I'm running it underneath here so that I can actually get a nice horizontal slice without going too deep into the foam or having to cut it at an angle like the reciprocating saw or razor blade. So let's see it in action. So I'm gonna start here at the end, resting my blade flat against the foam so that I know that I'm gonna be cutting on the right plane. I'm gonna pull it back here and we're gonna start really slowly, and we'll get the blade underneath. And then now, I'll tilt this blade just a little bit to give me a nice angle of attack. And we'll go ahead and just push this all the way through. Oh, and we can see I started to lift there a little bit, no problem. Not quite deep enough here, so let's just come back and clean that up. And with just a little bit of sanding, we can clean up anything that was kind of left over from the multi-tool. And just like that, this section is modified, good to go, get installed. Now just to demonstrate, I've got this other little section that I've got to cut out for another little small piece of glue. And I want to show you how the multi-tool really excels on something like this. So because we've got this flat edge here and we can rotate this blade, we have a number of different ways that we can cut at this shape. So I'm going to start just by scoring it from the top, and then we're going to come back just like we just did, and we're going to slice through this and hopefully get a nice flat relief right there. Now you can't get something that clean, that accurate with any of the other tools I showed you. Okay, so now that we know how to modify the foam on our subfloor so that we can make it fit nice and flat and stable the way that it's supposed to, the rest of this process is gonna be just about as easy it can get, and just like any other regular subfloor install. Now earlier we already went and cleaned out the inside of the van. We blew out any loose dry stuff, then came back with Simple Green, our degreaser and cleaner, and then blew it out with some water, dried everything off so we have a nice clean metal floor for our 3M 760 adhesive to get a nice strong grab onto. And I've already got that loaded up here in my caulking gun, so we'll go ahead and lay down glue up in the front section for the first piece of floor, and we'll get that glued in. Okay, so before we glue in the rest of the floor, you can see how now that we cut that extra little bit of the foam out, now our subfloor is sitting nice and flush, and it's supported exactly where we want it to be. So it's going to be nice, firm feeling underneath our feet. All right, and that about wraps up the install. Really, we can't make it any simpler than that. Squeeze a little glue, drop the panels in place, and you're on to the next step. So if you want to pick up one of these Subfloor kits for yourself, remember we do it for Sprinters, Transits, ProMasters, and the Ford Econo lines. Head to the link in the description or www.vamonosvans.com. And if you're here in the San Diego area and your Sprinter needs service, repair, suspension, or exterior upgrades, contact Sprinter Pit Stop to schedule your appointment. Now, if you found this video helpful or you want to see more, consider subscribing. Definitely leave us a thumbs up if you liked it, and give us a comment. What do you think about this install, our product? What other kind of tutorials do you guys want to see? Leave them down below. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.